Yeah, come and take a look at the snow. Bright white as far as your eyesight goes. Come and take a look at the fields of snow. I'll just get my coat, then we're good to go. Come and take a look at the lake. Let's have a quick skate before it gets late. Come and take a look at the frozen lake. Put your clothes on, mate, don't make that mistake.
Greetings, holiday shoppers. There are now 21 shopping days left until Christmas, and you know what that means. That means it's time for another episode of Christmas Creeps, your one-stop shop for holiday movies and TV shows all year round. My name is Joseph Wade. I'll be your host for this evening. Here with me tonight is my longtime partner co-host, Mr. Bradford.
What's cracking?
What's happening, buddy boy? Happy December.
Yeah. We made it.
We finally made it to the big dance, as it were. And joining us for this final number, it's not final, but, you know, joining us for this next dance is someone we have not heard from in a long time. It's Johnny Five, the human robot. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Yay!
It has been such a long year without you, J-Man. We're glad to have you back.
Yeah, I've been busy not doing Noirch Madness, which was my idea.
we said it once, we'll say it again. The gimmick that almost killed the show.
Oh, it was rough.
It's rough.
You just threw that grenade in and left.
Yep.
Anywho, gents, friends, welcome to December. We've recovered from Shrieks-giving. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving full of food and drink and celebration and family, all that crap. But here in December, we are starting to get very serious about our holiday celebrations. So we're going to waste no time hopping straight into it tonight. So folks, can check. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. I have a stone Chocovesa. Ooh. It is an imperial stout inspired by Mexican hot chocolate.
Oh my gosh.
Chocolate, coffee, pasilla peppers, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg.
Ooh.
It's Christmassy. It's Christmas-esque, I guess. I think it's a seasonal. It was with all the other Christmas beers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh, J-Man, how about you?
Let's see what sound this makes when it opens. Not much. It's a store brand water.
Well, what store, if you don't mind me asking?
Food Lion.
Okay.
Yeah, things you can have food. And I've been to a food pyramid before. I think that's closed now. That was in Tulsa, but I don't think food pyramid exists anymore. I think the British probably all that food's in a museum in Britain now.
I thought the food pyramid was discontinued by the Nutrition Council of America some years ago.
Yeah, they just said you just eat bacon, it's fine.
Did you guys hear about that?
The bacon?
About what?
Remember in the aughts when like bacon was everywhere and like they were putting bacon in everything, and like it seemed like every third viral YouTube video was about bacon.
Yeah, I remember Epic Mealtime.
It was kind of hard to escape.
It was like actually a coordinated campaign.
Oh, a psyop, yeah.
It was having something to do with like pork futures or whatever.
Did it also have something to do with like the McRib's limited availability?
Well, the McRib usually comes back whenever pork prices go down.
Right.
Yeah.
You can somebody tracked it, and it's a pretty clear linkage between when pork prices tank, usually the McRib comes back. But this was also
if you remember the year when McDonald's pushed super hard on like you can put bacon on anything for a while, that was the year that pork was just in the toilet.
Yeah.
But could you have put bacon on a McRib? That's the real question.
One of my friends claimed back in the day he went and asked for an apple pie with bacon, and they gave it to him.
Huh.
Oh, man. Well, hey, let me round this can check out. I'm working with a 21st Amendment Brewing fireside chat this evening. This is a winter ale with spices and cocoa nibs.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting something to drink, but I mean, this movie's drunk enough for me anyway. Like, this movie's got me covered.
This movie's hella drunk.
Oh yeah, this movie has like booze in its veins. First things first, before we get into tonight's episode, I do want to give a couple of very brief reviews of some new holiday movies that I've seen recently in theaters that I'd like to bring up as possible candidates for future episodes with you guys. First, was able to catch during Shrieks-giving, It's a Wonderful Knife in theaters. I was, in fact, the only person in the theater who saw it that day. And I had myself an absolute blast because it takes the It's a Wonderful Life gimmick and the slasher movie gimmick equally seriously, and it does both very well.
Huh.
It's a very fun little movie. Yeah, I was shocked. Genuinely shocked.
And I think you were the biggest detractor of this movie when we heard about it, as I recall.
Oh yeah, because like I posted the link in our Discord, and I just said, guys, like, why are we still trying to do this and like cram two things together? But I had to eat crow, and they actually did a fairly good job. So I think it's out on streaming now, so go check out It's a Wonderful Knife. I recommend it. And also Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, which it tries to do for Thanksgiving what Halloween did for Halloween, and it it's solid. It's gross. It's fun. Not a lot to say about that one, but I didn't dislike either one of them. So, home for the horror days. A couple of new candidates in the tank there. So look out for those next year, maybe. But that's all the stalling that I have tonight. So, gentle friends, let's get straight into the movie that Brad wanted to kick off our Christmas holiday season with. Alexander Payne's The Holdovers.
A movie you can smell.
A movie that I genuinely thought was going to be a comedy.
Me too, and I apologize. I knew it was a dramedy going into it, but there's a lot more drama than D going on here.
Yeah, like it's Alexander Payne and Paul Giamatti are back again, from Sideways. And Sideways, Giamatti is most of the comedy is just him shrieking at people about wine. And I was kind of expecting a little bit of that here, but you don't get that. It's a sadder, more depressing movie than any of that, but one that I actually found myself enjoying more than I think I should have. And we'll get into that. So, who would like to tell us what The Holdovers is about?
Oh my goodness.
Come on, Brad, you want to. I'll even put some money down on the line tonight.
Are we talking about general overarching themes, or are we talking about a plot summary here? Because I could sum it up in maybe one sentence if we're talking overarching themes, but no, I'll do oh man.
All right, so here's the game, folks. Bradford is going to try and relate the plot of The Holdovers in 60 seconds or less. Any time left on the clock when he is done, we will donate that dollar amount to a local charity. That's how the game works.
Give me 2 seconds. I don't even have any notes. I didn't take any notes. Let me get my thoughts straight.
Oh, he's doing it all off the dome piece. This is going to be great, folks.
I'm just trying to get our there's only 3 actual characters in this movie, so It's pretty easy. So we got Paul Hunnam, and we got Angus, last name.
It's Louis Tully's nephew, Angus Tully.
Tully, Angus Tully, and we have Mary Lamb, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You could not have a more oblique biblical reference if you tried.
Right? Okay. Okay.
Bradford, are you ready, sir?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, start.
At an all-boys school, a high schooler named Angus Tully has to stay at the school over Christmas break. He's the only one there with a sadistic history teacher named Hunnam. The two men come to understand one another, along with Mary Lamb, who is the cafeteria manager who just lost her son in the Vietnam War. Everybody learns a little bit about themselves. The end.
That's 30 seconds on the dot, my dude.
I mean, there's a lot that goes on, but that's the broad strokes.
That's the basic gist of it, yeah. You got it.
All right. Okay.
The Holdovers, as it were, that's What it basically means is, yeah, like these are the people that are left over at this all boys school over the Christmas holiday season. The ones who either, for whatever circumstance, are stuck having to stay at the school. And then the adults that have to look after them because, like, somebody's got to watch them.
That being said, this movie's called The Holdovers, right?
Yeah.
Plural. I feel like movie trailers give away too much of the movie nowadays, but this movie trailer and the marketing for this movie pulled 3 distinct bait and switches on me.
Yes, it did.
One we've already mentioned, in that the trailer for this plays it up as much more of a comedy than it actually is.
Right, because I think they know that to get people into the theaters, they have to say, this is a fun movie that you want to watch.
This is going to be a fun time when you take Grampy and Grandma over Thanksgiving weekend. The bait and switch number 2 is that it's called The Holdovers. There's only one holdover.
I mean, if you count the other adults,
I suppose.
That's plural.
I suppose. And then number 3, which we'll get into both of why these are bait and switches. I thought we had a dead parent alert.
Yes.
In the trailer, he says, "My dad is dead."
Right.
We'll find out that is not necessarily. That's metaphorically the case. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the case? Nuh-uh.
No, not so much. But it's at this moment that I have to put a pin in this entire episode to issue not really a retraction for the last episode, but a correction that we failed to address. In that the Killing Tree has a major mega dead parent alert in it, and we just straight up blew right past it.
Yeah, who says we're not totally tied to our old bits? I suppose.
No, but we like to have fun, and sometimes we forget to have fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. So yes, we have the Barton Academy, which is in somewhere in New England, and it's 1970. And it's a boys' school for, well, I mean, most boarding schools are for.
It's a shit boy academy.
Yeah, it's a shit boy academy.
Shittiest boys who just go to the school.
It's where shitty boys get sent away before they're shipped off to whatever Ivy League school they end up going to.
Right, like as Angus kind of points out, it's like one step removed from military school.
Yes,
because like if Angus gets kicked out of this place, he's getting shipped off to military school. So there's stakes here, is all we're saying.
Yes, and Angus at the beginning of this movie isn't a holdover. He's expecting to go to St. Kitts and Nevis, although I guess they don't add the Nevis part. Was it united with Nevis in 1970? Maybe it was just St. Kitts in 1970. I don't know.
Who knows?
And he's kind of a little shit, but he's trying to keep. He's kind of a little shit, but he's also giving the other students shit for like porn and weed.
Right.
And it doesn't mesh well together, and, we figure out why that is soon enough.
He's a little uptight and thinks he's kind of just above all of this shit, is the best way to put it.
There's that, and then I think it's also because he's trying to keep his nose clean to stay out of military school.
True.
Yeah.
But he's also the one, like, throwing off the curve for everybody else because he's actually, like, doing the schoolwork. So, of course they hate him.
Although, isn't there a scene later where when he's by himself in the school, doesn't he smoke a joint? It looked like a joint.
Probably. I mean, it's the 70s. Probably. Everybody was smoking the joint back then. So, like,
yes.
Call a cop.
I smoke the joint. Anyways.
Oops, I smoked the entire thing like a cigarette.
Okay.
But the there's 5 main kids that are left to stay over Christmas break at this school. You got Kuntz, I think is his name, who's just like the biggest asshole in the world.
Racist, Boris, is like thinks he's better than everybody. Shitbag.
The kind of guy Patrick Bateman's gonna kill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he grows up to be Jared Leto. Then you got a kid named Smith, who's just too much of a hippie to live. The other kids
that's just Randall Floyd from Dazed and Confused. Is all it is.
Pretty much, yeah. There's a Korean kid named Park whose family lives in Korea, so he can't make it home for the holidays. And then Allerman, his sin is that he's just a Mormon, and we don't really know why he is stuck at the school. But you think
Yes.
the first act of this film, you think that what you're being set up for is a movie where all these kids hate each other and are brought together and learn to like respect each other by this teacher, right? Like that's what you're kind of led to believe is going to happen because that's how movies work.
You'd be wrong though.
Yeah, and that's not what happens because very quickly all four of the other kids are helicopter airlifted out of the movie, literally.
Into a ski vacation.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good little twist.
Yeah, and it kind of sets up one of the bigger conflicts of it because the reason Angus doesn't go is because they can't reach his parents, which he was supposed to go to St. Kitts with the parents, but then his mom basically said, no, you have to stay there because we need to have a honeymoon, blah-de-blah-de-blah, and all this. And this sets up something that I'm wondering about, because Angus says that they got married in July, and then he said you had 5 damn months to take a honeymoon, basically.
Right.
And
yeah,
then when the Mary Lamb was watching the match game, newlywed game, she mentioned it being a rerun from July. I totally thought they were going to set up that the mom and the stepdad were going to be on the newlywed game in the rerun, but I didn't recognize them in there.
Oh man, that would have been
Maybe
something though, wouldn't it?
Cut.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Like, it was such a specific. This is a rerun from July that it was just like that has to at some point have meant something. Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But it's
I don't know.
I mean, overall, it's just standard parent getting a new, parent getting remarried type bullshit of a shitty parent, basically. Just like, oh no, child, I don't like you anymore because you remind me of the bad times. Go away.
Yeah, I'm going to ditch you on purpose and have my own special vacation without you.
Very much
Merry
so.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. The other kids get airlifted out of the film, and we're left with Angus and Paul and Mary, and we kind of start getting into sort of like what everybody's major damage is, because these are basically 3 very broken people who have to figure out how to deal with each other for the next like month in this empty school. And it's also here where I kind of started to think like this also could have almost become a horror movie, because there's lots of like Shining imagery that I just kept thinking of. Like you just keep talking about like the walk-in freezer and like the food we got's the food we got, and Paul Giamatti keeps wandering the hallways looking around at nothing, and you get the kid who's just sitting in the music hall playing the piano by himself, and just like this could also have veered off into a horror kind of story very easily.
And none of these people are here by choice, really, because it was not supposed to be Paul's turn watching the Holdovers. The person who was just made up an excuse about, oh, my mother, she's very sick, that he can't even remember his own excuse later.
Right, I think at first he says like, "Oh, my mother has lupus," and then later on he can't even remember what he said.
And then Angus left behind, and then Mary just has nowhere to go.
Right, like having lost her son in Vietnam, like she's basically keeping herself busy for her own sanity, which totally fair, fair.
Yeah, her sister invited her to stay over the holidays, but she declined because she just lost her son, is grieving, and is doing the whole the legitimate thing of keeping yourself busy and trying to not think about anything related to that.
Right, I get like it's heavy, but I get that completely. Oh boy, see, we're dipping our toe into like serious issues now, and like it's not fun to talk about, but it's just the kind of thing that like happens to people over the holidays. And one thing that I appreciate about this film is that it's not afraid to just be like, look, this is stuff that happens to people. These are the people that they don't make Christmas movies about. So here it is, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. People being very alone on Christmas. And you have one person who's used to being very alone, Paul.
Right. Like that's all he wanted to do.
Yeah, he was planning on staying at the academy, just not being in charge of the Holdovers.
Yeah.
So, loneliness is a common friend to him, but to Angus and Mary, this is more of a fresh wound.
Right.
Yeah, like,
they're
and like
having
all
to
these
deal
people live in the academy too, like all the workers even too. Like not all of them, but like most of them do. Like Lydia lives in town, another one of the teachers, but like Paul lives like in like an on-campus apartment. Mary seems to live in an on-campus apartment too because they're always there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's just
And then Angus lives in the dorms, but then they mentioned that like because the school's cutting the power like to the non-essential buildings, he has to stay in the on-campus like infirmary.
Yeah,
which. God.
Yeah, there's basically what you had said about the Shining imagery and everything like that. And then this all leans into that too. There's a lot of like really great shots and really great scenery of basically empty spaces, which, you know, of course echoes a lot of like the themes of the movie as well. But just, you know, that weird feeling that you get being in a space that's essentially closed and not being used, even though it's usually teeming with people.
Right.
Really sort of sends the message home.
Yeah.
I know the term, at least in the corners of the internet that I frequent, the term liminal has been overused lately.
I was about to say, yeah.
It really is a lot of like really liminal spaces in this movie.
Yeah, this could have been a 2-hour YouTube video of like 70s liminal spaces.
Yeah.
And it would have gotten like 10 million views in a week. I have a somewhat similar story to tell that's vaguely related to this movie. Like I've had to do kind of a holdover experience in college one year, where I was working my senior year. I was working as the desk receptionist at the dorms, and over the Christmas break, you know, they were asking people to like come and work the dorms that, you know, the straggler students were still staying in, while they either, you know, were staying in the dorms until they could go home for the holidays, or the ones that were working and just had to stay in town. And one day they sent me to this one dorm that it turned out had been completely like closed off for the day. Like they even cut the power to the building because, as it turned out, the local police department was across the street doing training exercises.
Huh.
So I had to sit at the desk watching across the street, across at like the soccer field, while like the local SWAT team was just running around doing drills and letting off, you know, smoke bombs and shit. And like the building is, you know, no lights, no power. I'm freezing my ass off, and like there's literally nothing for me to do but just sit and watch the cops do their thing.
Oh no.
And this was like December. I want to say this was like 3 or 4 days before Christmas. And like once I was done with this shift, I could go home. I got paid time and a half for that, so, you know.
Yeah.
Good for me. Yes.
Did you get to steal a bottle of Grand Cru?
Oh, no, I didn't. I wish I could have.
Yes. I knew that when we get the scene of Paul wandering the halls by himself, and he goes into the dean's office, and he lights up that bottle of Grand Cru with his flashlight, I knew that was going to come back up. I didn't expect it to come back up so late. I thought it was going to come back up a lot sooner.
Right,
but I knew it was going to come back up.
The dean kind of offers him that bottle as part of his payment for staying over the holiday break, right?
I didn't pick that up, but
okay. I think that's what it was.
Okay,
but still, like he says, like, we're prepared to give you this, and then at the very end, you know, he finally just says, "Fuck it, I'm going to take that."
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So the other kids leave.
The other kids are gone. Tully is losing his damn mind. Like, all he wants is to like go to Boston for Christmas. And with nobody else around, with nothing else to do, like, yeah, they pack up into the car and drive to Boston for Christmas.
Yeah, there's a little bit that happens before that I think is important to set up. Because like Tully ends up just jackassing around and then like dislocates his shoulders. They have to go into town, and then they run into Lydia there. She invites him to the Christmas party, and that Christmas party is a big event that I think would be good to touch on.
Yeah, we can talk about the Christmas party, but also, yeah, he dislocates his elbow and he kind of talks his way into not having them, you know, report it to the school. And then like later that night, they're at a bar, and Tully almost gets his ass kicked by these two hoodlums who will not let him, put his dime down on the pinball machine to call next.
I couldn't tell what pinball machine it was.
I think it was a domino machine, actually. I think there were dominoes on it. So it's one of those old, 60s or 70s mechanical machines that have very generic themes like, poker or dominoes. And I think that's one of them.
Or naked ladies.
Yeah, when I was little, these family friend had a machine in their basement that was one of the old, electromagnetic, what do they call them ones? I think it was literally just called High Noon or Shootout or something like that. It was a incredibly generic, Wild West theme, though, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Those are the big three. That, and then gambling, and then, parties are the big three themes for electromechanical machines, I feel like.
Pretty much, because, back then, you're only going to find those in, gambling parlors or restaurants.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, then someone said, what if we make it about space? And then it was just, oh, man, wide open from there.
Mm-hmm. Can we get the license for a popular film? No, we can't. Okay, so what if we use the image from a popular film and named it after a popular video game? How about Space Invaders? I'm talking, of course, about the Space Invaders pinball machine that has Ridley Scott's Alien plastered all over for no reason.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the rights to one, so they slapped it on the other. Anyway, we could talk about this Christmas party because this is one of the big kind of turning points in the film. Is everybody kind of has a bad time at this party.
Yeah.
You've got Tully who he just wants to be around people in general. He doesn't want to be cooped up at the school, and I get that. But he winds up in the kids' basement with the kids and hitting on a teenager who's probably way younger than he is, which is very uncomfortable.
I mean,
especially because he had to
17 and she's 14 or something. It's as long as they're both actually in a high school of some sort, it's it's the 70s.
Yeah, and too, the film doesn't go too far with that. So
yeah, at least we don't have Paul Giamatti hitting on a 14-year-old like most other 70s movies would.
That is true. Yeah. This could have taken a dark turn. And then, of course, Mary puts on some music and starts reminiscing about her son, and it brings the entire party down because the other guys just wanted to put on something more fun, and she is ready to fight somebody for this turntable.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Paul is trying to hit things off with Lydia, the host of the party, but then her presumably boyfriend comes in. And he kind of realizes, well, that's the end of that.
Scotches that, yeah. But it's also here that we find out that Paul has a really weird affliction.
Yeah, he sweats excessively, and also his body is unable to process some chemical, which makes him smell fishy at all times.
Right. Which, with an affliction like that, you'd think he would just move to Boston and live there full time because, the whole town kind of smells like that. I shouldn't be mean to Boston. I actually enjoy that city, but it is a harbor town.
What would Boston ever do to you? I was going to say.
No, nothing. But,
if all three of us have been to Boston together, don't you know?
If they can't take it,
That's better than what I was going to say. I was going to say something way worse.
They can take it.
They could take it. They're Boston.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, the Boston trip is very interesting because they let Mary go and see her sister, and she's having a great time hanging out with her family. She needs that time to be with her family to decompress. And then
she brings a bunch of baby clothes and stuff as a gift, which I think that helps her for some closure as well. Of just ends are not ends necessarily, or it's not there's not only just the one end. Basically, I don't know how I'm trying to describe it, but it's just it makes you think about shit that you don't want to think about.
It's one of the more moving scenes in the entire movie, in my opinion, when she's giving her son's baby clothes to her sister after he's passed, and there's a lot to it, right?
It's a healing moment for her.
And she's, like John said, ends are not ends, and she's she's passing on his things to a new child that's being born, and it's rough.
It's kind of lovely, but yeah, it's rough.
Makes you think a lot, especially as a parent.
Taking lemons and turning them into lemonade, I guess.
Yeah, it's a sweet moment. It's bittersweet moment.
But to the moment when like her she's sitting on the bed with her sister and they're talking, they're laughing, and then her brother-in-law looks in, is like, okay, this is what she needs right now. Like that's a nice touch. That's a nice moment.
Yeah.
And I gotta say at this point, like, what's her name? Divine Joy Randolph. She's the best part of this whole movie.
Yeah,
hands down good. To me. She's wonderful.
Might I mention, both her and Paul Giamatti are now within spitting distance of the Triple Threat Club.
Oh, aren't they now?
So Paul Giamatti is already in another Christmas movie. So if we just watch it, he's in.
I know he's in Fred Claus. He's Santa Claus.
Yes. He's also in, I sent it earlier this week. He's in a movie with Paul Rudd. What is it called? Where is it?
Oh, yeah. Divine Joy was in Office Christmas Party, wasn't she?
Yes. She was in Office Christmas Party. Now, she doesn't have another Christmas movie under her belt that I can tell.
Unless you count Trolls, Holiday, and Harmony, which...
I mean, okay, never mind.
I will throw my microphone in the trash before I watch a Trolls movie.
But wait, is it a movie? I thought it was like TV or direct-to-DVD. I mean, if it's direct-to-DVD, it still counts, but... Oh, where's this stupid movie? Where's the stupid Paul Rudd movie?
All is Bright is the name of
All
the movie.
is Bright. There it is.
It says TV movie, so they're kind of...
So they're both right outside of the Triple Threat Club. Keep it up. We'll get there eventually. But yes, she's excellent in this movie. Giamatti's pretty good too.
Giamatti's good. I mean, he's never not good. So like,
this is like a movie made for Giamatti as well. Like this, I don't think this movie would exist if he wasn't in it.
No.
Well,
no.
Yeah.
See, I find myself like just kind of sitting back and laughing because like I want to just enjoy this movie, but also like, God, it's just so. I don't want to keep saying depressing, but it's dark. It's a dark movie.
It's depressing. There are funny moments, like, don't get me wrong, but they're not like, they're just like wry little moments. You know, there's nothing like riotously funny.
There aren't like punchline set up and punchline jokes, you know?
Yeah.
It's more
like,
situational.
There's a couple good laughs, like when they're at the bowling alley in Boston and Paul's at the bar and there's like the barkeep and a guy who's dressed as Santa and he like goes on this long historical just info dump about Santa Claus, and then they just both look at him like he's got 3 heads.
Yeah.
They don't even as I recall, they don't even say anything.
No, like I was
to the next scene.
I was so ready for like it to cut to like that Santa Claus beating him up behind the building, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
which is better, I think.
It's just like framed in the background of Angus just macking on 2 women at the bowling alley as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a completely different movie happening back there.
A couple other good little chuckles. Like when Angus is wandering, there's one scene where he steals the keys to the school and he's like wandering around and eating ice cream out of the freezer and stuff. And he goes to the chapel at one point he's like chugging communion wine out of the chalice.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Which I thought was great too every single teacher here is a functioning alcoholic. And the one place he knows where to get booze is the church.
Like it's one of those like Dawn of the Dead moments where you look at that and go like, that is exactly what I would do in this situation. Like I would go wander around and just take the keys and fuck with stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, we have to come to. I don't really want to talk about the real centerpiece of this because it's kind of a. See, I don't want to get into like, oh, it's a spoiler, but like. You know, Tully finally does meet his dad in the 3rd act, and
we find out why he wants to go to Boston so badly.
Right, we find out why he wants to go to Boston, and it's to see his dad. Which, you know, again, Paul thinks he's going to a cemetery, but no, he takes him to sanitarium where his dad's been committed. And it's a very traumatic scene. Like it's just you never want to see a loved one in that kind of situation. it's that moment where Angus kind of realizes that, like, he doesn't have the family that he thinks he has.
I think he also realizes that his dad is not coming back.
Right.
And he starts talking about, his time at school and, like, how he's doing and stuff like that. And then his dad just, like, looks at him and he goes, I think they're putting something in my food. Just no recognition whatsoever of what Angus has just told him. And it's rough. It's really rough. And it becomes the sticking point of the final sort of movement of this movie. As we come to find out.
Because the sanitarium contacts his mom and tells her that, like, his dad is now starting to talk about, like, he wants to come home. And so then she finds out, oh, my son's been there. Who took my son there? Oh, this teacher took him there. And so Paul is suddenly in lots of trouble. And yes. Angus is in lots of trouble. And then, Paul sticks his neck out for Angus and says, like, you can't send this kid to military school. He's a very bright kid. He has a future here. And so Paul was willing to put his job on the line for this kid. And we haven't really even gotten into, like, what Paul's situation is, which is, like, heartbreaking on its own, because, like, I totally understand where this guy's coming from.
Yeah,
because, like,
none of these people have families really that are worth a damn to an extent. Like, I mean, Mary has her sister's family, but she doesn't have a family of her own because her husband passed away before her son was born. Her son died in Vietnam because he couldn't afford to go to college, basically.
Yeah.
And then Angus's mom is just a piece of shit, and his dad's in a sanitarium, so what are you going to do? And then Paul's story is that his dad, his mom has passed away, and he said he's not talked to his dad since he was 15. He basically went to school at Barton, went to Harvard, then started teaching at Barton. Like, that's been all of his movements, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he didn't finish Harvard because his roommate plagiarized his final thesis, and then he hit him with a car and got kicked out. But there was a gentleman's agreement between him and the dean of Barton at the time that he could go and teach at Barton. So he's a character who's putting on a lot of airs.
He's got
at the core of it.
And he's got that kind of hidden shame about himself that, like, he doesn't want anybody to know that he never officially graduated college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many heavy things.
Yeah.
Going on in this film, but, like, it all adds up to just this portrait of these characters that I can't help but kind of love all of them, as broken and twisted as they are. Like, I just feel bad watching these people, but I can't stop watching these people.
It's sweet in its own way because they all come to understand one another as broken people, but
yeah, I don't know if this is what they were going for, but a lot of what I got out of it was a lot of extremely fucking broken people holding on to a broken past that is just like you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you don't need to abandon it, but it's just like you at some point you got to move a foot ahead of the other.
Once we visit the sanitarium, it actually, the movie gets a little bit sweet for a while because we have the scene with the Cherries Jubilee where they all sit down to a fancy dinner and the wait staff won't let them order a Cherries Jubilee because there's a minor at the table, so they just order berries and ice cream to go and then drown it in whiskey and light it on fire in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And then we have, like, the New Year's celebration where they're lighting off, an M80 in the kitchen and stuff like that. It's just cute little things. It's a little bit of sweetness in this very bittersweet movie.
Right. And I think the thing that I wrote on Letterboxd was that, like, it's a Christmas movie about, like, the people you never see them make Christmas movies about. It's like the sad, lonely, like, remainders of everybody else's good time.
Yeah.
And those people deserve a good Christmas too.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate about this. As non-comedic as it is, I found myself having a great time. And much to Nikki's chagrin, because I think she fell asleep halfway through and woke up and said, "What happened?" So I had to kind of explain it, and she went, "And you enjoyed that?" Yeah, I did, and I'm not ashamed.
I think I enjoyed this movie as well. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's a very old-fashioned movie, not in a bad way, but intentionally so. A very old-fashioned movie in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because the mixing is such that you can actually hear and understand the dialogue. More of this in modern movies, please.
Yeah, and the opening credit says copyright 1971.
Oh, that's cute. That's fun.
Oh, so this is like a Mandela Effect movie where it's actually from the 70s, but no one remembers. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so they go all out with like old style like 70s logos and like lettering in the credits, and then it does like the MCM LXXI.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good stuff. And like the old school like R rating symbol, which is like blue and white. I love old touches like that. Movies for old people, man. You gotta give it up. Let's hear it for movies for old people.
Yeah,
everybody.
Are we officially old people now that we all enjoyed this movie?
No, this movie felt like it was not for me. I'll say that.
Okay.
I don't, and I'm older than both of you by a couple of years. It's like this is a movie that makes you feel like, how to put it, watching Happy Days when it was on TV originally was probably a lot fucking different from watching Happy Days on Nick at Night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Like this is a movie that felt like it should have been made like 20 years ago.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Because it's just
that's another because like I got like early Wes Anderson vibes off of this, you know?
Yeah, it feels just a little too far removed from the period, basically.
Maybe so. Like rose tinted glasses, looking at the 70s, sort of.
Not even that. It's just like it's a movie about the early 70s in 2023. Like, really,
half a century.
Really, who is that for? You know, like Paul Giamatti was born 4 years before this movie was set.
Right.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but you can make the argument that it's so far removed now. How is it any different than making a movie set in the 1920s or the 1940s? It's just another age. Or is that what
that's kind of what I mean? It's like it's hard to say like who is this like. It's hard to say like. I guess what I'm saying is a lot of times a movie like this feels like the point of it is to be nostalgia bait, but it's just for whom though. Yeah. Is what I'm saying.
My feeling on this is that they had the idea of like, okay, kids being held back at a private school over Christmas break. At what point in the past would that have been like how far back in the past could that have been possible and still have been interesting?
Yeah, I think this might be too just like one of those like what so-called blank check movies where it's just the director was just like, what the fuck do you want to make? He's just like, I want to make a 70s ass movie because that's what I'm feeling wistful about right now.
Yeah, like Alexander Payne's in that kind of period where like every time he makes a movie, it kind of automatically gets nominated for a bunch of Oscars just because. So he was probably just like, well, why don't I just make a Christmas movie? Fuck him.
It's kind of like a few years ago when that Fear Street thing. This was like trying so hard to be 90s kitsch.
Yeah,
and it's just, part of that just felt like somebody got the green light to do that, you know.
Mm-hmm. But it's in 2023, nobody's really doing 70s kitsch, so I think that there's like novelty in that now again.
Yeah,
because you probably couldn't have done this 10 or 15 years ago because shit, you probably could have. What am I kidding? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of strange because it's. I mean, while the movie does feel like old as hell in the way that like this is like a snapshot of a different ass time, it doesn't feel like completely alien like watching a movie set in like the 40s basically. Like you watch a movie set like in like you watch like a non World War II movie set in the 40s, it's just like this is another fucking planet. I have no idea what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And this is recognizable.
Here it is. Alexander Payne was born in 1961, so when this movie takes place, he was 9 years old. So this is very much like him being nostalgic for his own Christmas experience. Like, this is the Christmas that he remembers as a kid. You know? So I think that was probably the guiding design choice there was like, let me do the 1970 that I remember.
I think to John's point, though, too, this versus a movie set in like the 1940s, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the three of us grew up in the pre-internet age, which I think you can argue is early 1990s was more similar to the 1970s than it is to today, I would say. And not only that it's closer in time, but just closer in mentality, technology, everything like that.
Yeah, like probably, 1994, 95 is when that cutoff hits?
Yeah,
I would say
around then.
What people usually say the cutoff for like the millennial ages is like born in like 96. That's probably about right there.
Okay,
it's because then the big thing with 96 is you start having a lot more interest in computers and the internet, and everybody like doing that looking forward to the year 2000 sort of thing and futurism and stuff like that.
Yeah, like if in 96 like you had AOL, it was just like you were a little forward thinking, not just like you were a fucking like space alien nerd.
Right.
True. Yeah.
So I think even though none of us were alive in the 70s, I think that the nostalgia carries over at least somewhat. In some regards.
Right. Because, too, like, we were all born in the 80s, and we remember seeing all these sort of, Christmas movies from before we were born. And, like, this look kind of is familiar to us, too. So there's something kind of warm and familiar about this for us as well. That's very like second or third hand nostalgia, I guess. But there it is.
Yeah, it ends up, instead of being nostalgia for that time, it ends up being nostalgia for watching movies that were closer to that time. Basically, like it feels like, instead of feeling like watching, it feel like it if you watched a 90s movie now, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's like what Brad and I talked about with Scrooge. Like, I'm more nostalgic for that now than I was then, because like I look at Scrooged and like that's what I remember Christmas looking like when I was little.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it now. And I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brad, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to take this to Santa's workshop. Would you like to do that now?
All right, before we go to the Crankometer, I'm going to hit you with this.
Okay.
We all agree that this is a well-made movie, right?
But what if it was a heist? You're right.
No, I'm only claiming revisions to one scene.
Okay.
So after Paul has been fired, and the students have returned to campus, they're all gathering around, watching Paul pack a U-Haul full of his belongings, right?
Right.
And Kowalski, is it Kowalski? What's his name? The shitty kid.
Kuntz
is like talking with some of the other kids, and he's like, "Yeah, I heard that he got fired for being a perv. They found him in the gym toilet, just with his hands in the toilet, burgling turds."
Like,
right?
Yeah, he says literally eating shit before that. Yeah,
eating shit, and they caught him burgling turds. All right, so we have Paul drive off. And it's very, very sentimental. He's leaving Barton for the last time, on to hopefully brighter horizons. We hope for him.
He's going to write the book he was talking about having half of an idea for before.
Correct. And he pauses. So this is still the scene still the same scene. And he pauses as he's about to leave Barton. He's got his turn signal on. He looks over to his gym bag and he unzips it. And in the movie, he takes out a bottle of the Grand Cru that he has stolen, takes a swig, and then spits it onto the ground at Barton. It's a very good scene.
Yeah.
Let me revise that scene.
Okay.
Paul pulls up to the intersection, leaving Barton, pauses, looks down to his gym bag, unzips it, and pulls out a big old turd. Cut to black. Roll credits. I'm kidding.
It was me. They got me.
I just thought that obviously not in the spirit of the movie, but I just had that thought. I thought that'd be really funny, as if they just acknowledged that joke.
You need a post-credit scene of that take.
Anyhow, yeah, he wasn't fired for doing the noble thing and covering up for Angus, who he sees as a promising young youth. No, he was actually just burgling turds.
Well, it's kind of like the scene where he's talking about why he got kicked out of Harvard. It's not because he was accused of plagiarism; it's because he hit somebody with his car.
Just a little swerve there at the end.
Yeah.
No, he just loves turds. Just loves boy turds.
God, Brad. God.
I don't know why that entered my mind. No, I like the little nod at the Grand Crew at the end because I thought it wasn't going to come back up, and then they were like, "No, gotcha."
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, he's taking that booze, and then it turns out actually it was shitty booze.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, friends, it's time to go to the crankometer and to rate this film. The crankometer is our patented XY axis for rating Christmas movies. The X axis is how Christmassy a film is, and the Y axis is how good a film is. It has been scientifically proven to be the stupidest metric ever devised. And we love it. So, friends, how Christmassy is The Holdovers?
I'm gonna let John go first.
Pretty Christmassy. It definitely hits on the Christmas vibes, both good and bad.
Yeah,
it really does.
I agree with that. I didn't even think about the bad Christmas vibes, but yeah, it's got that in spades.
This was definitely this wasn't a hard movie to watch in the sense of it was difficult to get through it, emotionally or whatever. It was hard to watch that I was just like, man, I'm already fucking feeling bummed out about it being fucking December and it gets dark at 3 p.m. and all this dumb shit. It's just I don't need a movie to remind me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's already a movie about being lonely at Christmas. You don't want it to say the quiet part out loud, but there it is. There's a lot of people are lonely at Christmas.
Yeah, and I think even people who are surrounded by people constantly, it's still very easy to feel lonely at Christmas, even if you're not actually alone.
Right. You don't know what other people are dealing with, so it's kind of hard to make that judgment call. But the holidays are hard for lots of people for lots of different reasons, and I respect that this movie is able to say that. And depict it and not kind of push your face in it, It's just this is the situation. These are the people. Here it is.
Yeah, the movie lets you understand what these characters are going through without having to tell you, and this is bad for this reason.
Yeah.
It also does a lot of the nonverbal stuff. I know we've harped on the scenery, but just all the closed spaces. Remember when things used to close for Christmas?
Yeah.
But now, in the pre-post-capitalist hellscape days, things actually closed for a couple of days around Christmas.
Yeah, and if you weren't going home, where are you going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent Christmas in the dorms in Germany, and what did we do? We got really fucking drunk and went to a Chinese restaurant because what the hell is he going to do on Christmas?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of people's experience on Christmas, to be honest.
So 4?
I'm willing to give this a 4. Also, I would love to point out the scene, the Christmas Day scene where Paul gets up and tries to give Mary and Tully a nice Christmas, and he goes out and so the Christmas tree that the school purchases for the Christmas pageant or whatever, or the Christmas service. We find out in the next scene that the school sells it back to the Christmas tree lot to recoup that money. Well, he goes back to the Christmas tree lot on Christmas Eve to buy the same tree back. I'm assuming it's the same tree.
I think it's a smaller tree.
It's a smaller tree.
He buys a Charlie Brown tree.
It's a Charlie Brown tree. It's a shitty tree, but he buys the tree. He puts it up, and when he presents it to Mary and Tully the next day, he has this shit-eating grin on his face, he's so proud of himself, and it's the shittiest looking tree.
And it doesn't have any ornaments or anything.
It's
leaning, very good.
It's leaning at a 45-degree angle. It's very good. And I love that. So I'm willing to give this a 4 based on that image alone. But also for all the reasons that you've already kind of pointed out, this hits a lot of the positive and negative Christmas vibes. Hell, you even get a very loving close-up of a snow globe of Santa Claus looking at the baby Jesus. That's Christmas right there,
It's very Christmassy.
Remember the reason for the season. Santa Claus was at the first nativity. So a 4 is perfectly valid. How about that y-axis, friends? How good is The Holdovers? How did we enjoy this?
Those are 2 different questions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very true, John.
You're right. I should amend that. quality-wise, what do we think?
Oof. At least a 3, I would say.
It earns a 3 to me on the sheer metric of like it respects its characters enough to let them just exist as people, and it's not trying to write circles around everything, you know?
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And the performances speak for themselves. The situations speak for themselves, and it's just a solid, well-told movie.
Yeah, even when most of the characters are being shitheads, like, you at least understand why they're being shitheads, even if you don't agree with it. Like,
right.
the mom and the stepdads, like, you understand exactly what's going on with them, even though they're both shitty people. But you understand, and then you understand why Angus is the way he is, why Paul is the way he is, why Mary is the way she is. It does a very good job of just letting everybody have some walking around space, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But still still being about something, I guess. It still has a plot, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If that sounds stupid, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. So at least a 3. Can we bump it up to at least to maybe a 4?
I think a 4 is... I'd be fine with a 4, too. I think it's a very well-made movie, and I enjoyed my time with it. Not something that I would probably willingly revisit anytime soon.
Yeah,
right.
It's
not going to...
This is a fucking bummer.
It's not going to be in my like Christmas rotation, but I might pull it out in a few years, and just to let myself drown in the vibes.
I'm glad I watched it, and I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate it, and I appreciated my time with it, and that can't be overstated. So I'm fine with a 4.
Yeah,
I'm amenable to a 4 as well.
Yeah, I'd say that it's good. It's a good movie. I don't feel the need, like, personally, like, like, brain-wise, that I need to watch it again. And I wouldn't begrudge anybody who says, like, no, that sounds like a fucking bummer, and I'm not here for it. I wouldn't begrudge anybody that either.
No, like, I get it. Like, not, like, watching it and then coming away from it thinking, like, it's depressing and I didn't enjoy my time with it. I get that. Like, it's kind of a Rorschach test of like how you feel about people, basically.
Yeah, like if you want to watch a movie about shitty people at Christmas, but at least doesn't make you feel bad, Christmas Vacation's over there.
This is true. This is very true. So yeah, are we going to land on a 4-4 for the Holdovers? I think we are.
I think so.
That's a solid score right there, folks. A lot.
No, it exceeded my expectations. I didn't have a whole lot going in. I thought it was just going to be okay.
Right. I expected it to be more of a comedy, and even though it wasn't, I wasn't disappointed by that,
Yes,
exactly. It gave me so much else in return that I can say like, well, yeah, I appreciated my time with it. It's not the Christmas movie you want to watch with the family, but for a certain crowd, this is the Christmas film some people need, and I'm glad it's here. And I heartily recommend it. I know that
this is the movie equivalent of reading The Catcher in the Rye.
There you go.
I mean, I don't want anybody to accuse us of being phonies for saying we like this kind of movie, but
Why would they accuse us of being phonies?
I don't know.
It's a Catcher in the Rye joke.
Yeah, it's a Catcher in the Rye joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the teens that read Catcher in the Rye just to be the teens that read Catcher in the Rye.
No, Holden Caulfield hates phonies. In the book.
I haven't read Catcher in the Rye,
okay.
But I know it's kind of a thing for teens to read Catcher in the Rye and like be seen reading Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, it's a book about being a surly teen, where at the end you realize that society does suck, but so do you.
Okay.
So the list of things that Brad has never experienced, we can add Catcher in the Rye to the list right under Christmas Vacation.
Look, I'm not very well read.
Look,
I don't know.
Nobody was asking you to be. Okay, I'm just Josh.
You don't need to watch read Catcher in the Rye. You can just watch that South Park episode where they wrote where they had Butters write a book.
Okay,
that's basically it. Yeah. Oh man. Well, friends, that's going to round out this episode of Christmas Creeps for the week. I don't know what to say about the coming month here on the show because it's all kind of up in the air. Brad and I have something special planned a little bit later in the month, but our Christmas Day episode is still very much TBA.
TBD, you might even say.
You should have said TBD, to be determined. So, stay tuned for all of that. But, we at least have, I'd say, 2 more episodes to bring you this holiday season. So look out for those. Now here comes I have to promote this show. I hate this part. This is my least favorite part of the show. But
okay, you want me to do it? Here,
if people are listening to this, they already know about it. Then you got to promote to them.
Thank you for listening. We know you have a lot of choices when it comes to media. If you want to reach us, we're on most social media platforms under Christmas Creeps or maybe Xmas Creeps, depends on where it is. What's our Gmail, Joseph?
xmascreeps@gmail.com.
Please feel free to send us letters. If you can, tell a friend. If you can, leave a review. We really do appreciate everything you do and for listening to the show.
Actually, we're gonna ask it right now. If you want to send us listener questions, we'd like to try and read some more on our Christmas Day episode. So send those in to us now at xmascreeps@gmail.com. Anything you want to ask us, Christmas related or not, we'll answer it on the show.
It can be anything.
Right. Except for we can't tell you how to do your taxes, and we can't give you any relationship advice.
I could take a stab at both of those. They may not be very good, actionable things, but I could definitely do it.
It's not within our legal capacity to be experts on those, is all I'm saying.
Ask me how to itemize your taxes. I'll do it. It's not. I'm gonna put an asterisk next to it saying that you shouldn't listen to it, and it's not actionable legal advice.
Here's
I'll take
my
a
tax
stab
advice
at
for
it.
you. It might be a bit tricky, but what you do is you have a relative who does tax prep as their job, and then it's just problem solved.
That's true.
This is the answer for everything in life, really. Have a relative who is in fact a CPA or actuary.
Yes. I'll take a stab at the relationship stuff though. Sometimes we post fun stuff on our it's a segue Discord. Please join us on the Discord. We have a lot of fun over there. We talk about all sorts of things, Christmas related and non. There will be a link in the show notes. Please join us.
Absolutely. That is gonna do it, folks. Christmas Creeps is rolling on this holiday season, and we are so excited for you to join us. So please come on back. For Christmas Creeps, I've been Joseph Wade.
I'm Bradford.
I'm Johnny Five, the human robot. Hey, weren't we supposed to talk about video games?
Maybe someday soon. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas, you guys. Yeah.
I mean, you do want to talk about video games? We could talk about video games.
No, I was just amazed that we didn't.
Yeah, we made it one episode.